Welcome to the place where we learn about and learn from the leaders in our field who are powering human creativity. I am Aaron Dworkin, and this is Arts Engines. Thanks again for joining me here on Arts Engines. Today's guest is Patrice Floyd, who serves as founder and artistic director of the Javacya Arts Conservatory. Patrice, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Mr. Dworkin. You're wonderful.
Thank you.
Arts Engines is wonderful.
Right. Thank you so much. It's so great to have you on the show. And of course, as one of our amazing creative partners. And I thought it would be great just to start off, if you could share for our audience, what is the scope and or breadth of the work that you're doing at Javacya?
It's interesting. It's in the last 3 years, it's changed just a little bit. Our vision has always been to, whether it's medicine, law, or whatever it is, for our students to contribute positively to society. We exist solely for BIPOC children to have a safe space to create and to take advantage of every educational opportunity in the arts possible. And this is our year 44.
It's year 44. That's what I wanted everyone to like. You have been doing this work. It is absolutely amazing. And what's the breadth currently? How many students are you currently reaching? Is there a geographic breadth?
Yes. That's why I say things are changing just a little bit. We are primarily doing a lot of contract work now, where I send teachers out to the schools, primarily public schools in inner cities and some private schools, to inner city areas, specifically inner city areas. And the reason why we changed just a little bit of our flow is that people kept talking about crime every morning, crime. And I said, crime is each city's fault, because we don't have enough things for our children to do after school. And so that is the life, breadth, and scope of where we are now. My husband retired from law enforcement, 34 years. I've heard it all. And so I just said, we've been doing it, but let's take a more concentrated, make a more concentrated focus to partner with schools as much as down to 3 years old, to make sure that we deal with, I like to say, the potential messes early. And that's what we're doing through the arts, plain and simple.
Absolutely. No, it's so important. And is there a geographic kind of breadth or focus that you're doing in terms of exactly where you want to try?
Yes. We're in North Florida, in Tallahassee. If that's what you mean. We're in Tallahassee, and we're around Florida A&M University, and Florida A&M University is kind of in the hood, and that's the area that we're working primarily. We're teaching about 300 students a week.
Yeah, no, it is just such extraordinarily important work that you're doing. And one of the things that I wanted to kind of ask you about is that a lot of times, programs are doing this work, and so they're focusing, and especially they're focusing just really on students. Okay, these students have shown they have an interest in the arts or, in music, et cetera. And so we're reaching them. But you have some additional kind of breadth to the work that you do. You're engaging other students, for example, students in robotics.
Yes.
Could you kind of just share how that came about and what you're seeing as kind of some of the impact from that?
Yes, we noticed a few years ago that most of our students end up in medicine and engineering. And that was through our after-school program, where we also had academics, taught academics. And so when we noticed that, I told a friend who was at actually Florida University's Research Development School. And what she said, what we need to do? Our robotic students are so stiff. They don't want to do anything but build robots. Why don't we take some summers and teach them other things? And I said, they didn't have enough money for instruments. So I brought in a theater person, a well-known theater person who's doing big things now. And he would do music theater for 3 weeks. They just thought they would die at first. And he made them sign a contract to say, listen, in 3 weeks, we're having a performance. So you're going to have to participate. They would sign a contract. Let me tell you something. They were so happy. And this is now, we're in this, that was probably almost 15, 20 years ago. and we're continuing. We brought it back 5 years ago.
That is
Every day.
That is awesome. That is awesome. And as you see the students from kind of the beginning and before they are exposed to the program and have that experience, and then at the end, what shifts are you seeing? What impact are you seeing that having for them?
Well, I see just a love, a better, a more of a love for life. That's what we see. But the administration sees, because they're more creative, like Albert Einstein would always say, imagination is more important than knowledge. They're more creative. They're winning more competitions because we've unlocked the creativity. And this is such a big deal that medical schools now are saying, you know what? We want our students to have studied some art before we admit them. Some of the schools where they're already studying, they have added arts to the curriculum because students who study arts, their cognitive development is higher. Their passion for life is higher. Their creative thinking and problem solving skills is better. Their focus and discipline is better. Their emotional balance is better. Their mathematic and rhythmic skills are better. Their intuition is better. The harmony and balance is better. It's all there. We as artists, of course, we know that.
To that, of course, and that's such a huge impact. And that need for creativity skills has just been shown to be so important in the world, regardless of what field someone's going into. So these skill sets are so important. So one of the things, kind of switching gears a little bit, that I can only imagine you've got a kind of an amazing perspective on, seeing, over 4 decades of work and impacting students. Are you seeing any trends? Are you seeing any shifts as you see students today? Are you like, here's where I think their either greatest needs are or the areas that we should focus? So in other words, thinking about all of those people in our audience who are doing similar types of work, whose programs might be related to impacting youth, et cetera. Do you see any areas that you would say, here's where we're focusing, and or here's what I see as some of the key issues or challenges or ways we can best serve students today, given this kind of breadth of 40 years that I've been able to see?
Well, I've had to enhance my thinking about technology because I'm noticing that these students, the ones that are, whether they're very bright or even may be deficient somewhat academically, one thing they all love is technology. And so what I'm doing now is interweaving technology into our learning as quickly as we teach a class, as quickly as we put the video up. So because kids want to press play, go back, tell me again, do it, because that's how they are. And so they bore easily. And so if you do a lot more video in your classes, video in your lessons, don't worry about the mistakes or what people think, or the parent might not like what you taught that day. Just let the child see again what they've done. And they will practice that a little bit more, and they're more competitive and they love what they do. They can correct their own mistakes. And so I'm just interweaving technology. Kids make their own TikTok videos. They share videos with each other. They collaborate better. They're collaborating, even in section rehearsals, they're collaborating. Well, I didn't say anything, but you have this entire passage wrong, and so they're using the technology to better themselves and to better one another, but also we keep them interested because that's where they are. I mean, we just have to, I'm moving with the times, and we say, well, I don't want to do it that way. We just want to, no, we have to keep up.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
absolutely. And one of those things you mentioned, collaboration and encouraging that. Just wondering if you could kind of delve into that a little bit more. How important is that? How do you utilize that in terms of focusing on it alone as kind of almost a skill set in and of itself?
Not only within the school, but within the community as well. But within the school, we say, listen, you are your brother's keeper. That's one part. But in the community, funding is here today and gone tomorrow. But if we work together, if you want to we want to patent what we're doing, fine. But the better we are, particularly in the Black community, and I'm just going to be just really direct, where there's so many problems, partnering with universities, partnering with churches, like I said last year, collaborating with people of other cultures. Like our entire season is dedicated to Asian and Black composers and in the orchestra, Javacya Elite Chamber Orchestra. And so I am interweaving with the Asian Coalition Society, and then partnering together to put on concerts together. And we're drawing different, and Asian means a lot. People think, oh, that's Chinese, and no, it's a whole lot of people, that are involved in the Asian culture. And so just partnering with expanding even though I'm African American, expanding my scope, because you know what? It is not just African Americans and Hispanics that are marginalized. In my community, the Asian community feels underlooked. They feel underserved. And so I don't mind sharing it, just thinking out of the box.
Absolutely.
And guess what? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And that the way in which you describe not only, of course, students collaborating, but just organizationally, how you're looking at collaborating, connecting with other organizations, and having that impact and influence your mission and all of that, you can clearly see the strength coming through and that, which is absolutely amazing. And of course, why there's now over 4 decades of impact that you're having. So unfortunately, we are just about out of time, but I always like to ask of all my guests, this work that you're doing, while it's so impactful, there's got to be some tough days where things are not going smoothly. And just wondering, as an arts leader, as an administrative leader, do you have a mechanism? Is there somewhere you turn to for strength, for guidance, for inspiration, for insight during the tough times of leadership?
Well, I said last year, of course, I pray a lot. But what I've done is I am expanding. I can be very private, but this work is so big that I'm involving lawyers, doctors, anybody possible that can give me a way to connect with people who don't care about other people. I know that might sound strange, but I have to get communities to buy into the system, because this grant, that grant, they fade. But we can get our communities, our small communities, to buy into what we were doing. And so I've had to unlock my door, so to speak, and sit down in front of people that I would never sit down in front of and say, listen, we need you. You can't just put people behind bars, I need your help. Where am I going to find the finances, et cetera? So I get them involved in my everyday activity so they can help find the finances, so we can help youth. And I'm not just talking about, I know it's time to go, but it's not just disenfranchised. How are we going to get Johnny, who has $0 to Juilliard? And just so I've had to enlarge my parameters of getting, working with the community. I hope that answers.
Absolutely. And also just shows your commitment across the board to all of these young people, your community, our field. Patrice Floyd, you truly are one of the arts engines who is powering human creativity in our world. Thank you so much for everything you do, and thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored.